Hey, Dream Team, this is Eddie coming at you. So this is the first Ask and Seek video I've done in a while. One, because I just fell out of practice, and two, because I hadn't gotten much. Nobody was asking me any deep spiritual or theological questions. But I got one posed to me the other day that was just too good and too juicy to pass up. So wanted to make this to reply to your question specifically, and you know who you are. But I also thought this would be good information for other people, especially Christians who are struggling with this topic. And the question I was asked is, Eddie, is it wrong for a Christian to be woke? WOKE, woke. And as we know, woke is one of those hot button words that's getting thrown a lot right now. It's become highly charged. It's become highly political. I want to try to get to the bottom of it and see, what does it mean to be woke, and more specifically, what does it mean for a Christian to either be woke or to not be woke, or to deny wokeism or the woke movement. So obviously, woke comes from the sort of the core term of being awake, being alert, being attentive. Of course, the Bible equates sleeping with death, obviously. So you don't want to be dead, so you'd rather be awake. But the Bible also equates sleeping with ignorance or willful blindness. It says that their eyes were closed to the truth, or, as one was asleep, so they denied the truth. So you don't want to be asleep, especially when it falls or flies in the face of truth that might be coming at you, that's going to lead you to greener pastures, better place, better relationships, being more accepting of others, and generally making your life better. So, um, as a teacher, as a pastor, as a leader, I like to back up my propositions with scripture. So, if we take woke as simply being empathy, okay, now empathy is a draw and compassion toward others. Apathy is a withdrawal and a lack of compassion for others. So, if the goal of the Christian experience or the goal of the moral experience is to be empathetic to others, to be there for others, then these are some scriptures that back up the pro woke argument: being awake to other people's needs, being awake to other people's circumstances, being awake to other people's problems and dilemmas, so that we can be in their environment and be a help to them and not a hindrance to them. Okay. So Ephesians 4 talks simply about having kindness and compassion to others. Now, I think you don't even have to be a religious person to say kindness and compassion to others is a good thing. So we have that in our favor. Now, Luke 6 is a tough one because it says, love your enemy. Yeah. Now, first off, generally speaking, in Christian circles, we have no enemies. Our only enemy is the devil and his minions and his powers and his principalities. Basically, another way of saying the devil and his armies, or the devil and his minions, or the devil and his acolytes. So, we in Christian spiritual circles have no enemies. But if we do ever perceive that we have enemies, we are to love them. Now, not only does it say to love them, but it says to do good for them and lend to them expecting nothing. So if this follows the woke narrative, then one, of course, have no enemies, lend, be generous, have generosity at the core, and expect nothing in return. So it's like an ultimate altruism. It's a I give, and giving is the core, giving is the key. Um, Proverbs 31. This is a simple one, but it's really good. It basically says that wisdom, if you want to be wise, if wisdom is the goal, then wisdom equals kindness and the teaching of kindness, or the practice of kindness. So a wise person is, one, going to be kind to others, but two, is also going to foster kindness by way of teaching it, by way of proclaiming kindness, by way of echoing kindness, or helping others move toward kindness. So if this is the woke we're moving toward, compassion, generosity, empathy, altruism, wisdom, and kindness. If this is the woke movement, then yeah, then it's a jolly good thing for Christians to be quote unquote woke, especially if we go with the biblical analogies of being awakened to truth. I once was lost, but now I see, or I once was asleep, but now I'm awake. I'm awoken to greater truths. I'm awoken to kindness, empathy, love, compassion, gentleness, peacefulness, altruism, empathy. Then woke is certainly a good thing. Now, here's the kicker. This is where I flip the script a little bit. Now, the Bible does warn against what I'm going to call conformity to world systems, okay? Now, if this is what you take woke to mean, then yes, there are warnings against this form of woke in the Bible. So the Bible is very clear that it does not want you to conform to what I am going to call broken world systems, okay? So anything that's broken in the world, anything that flies in the face of the things we just talked about, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, empathy, compassion, being there for others, generosity, anything that's broken in the world, a system that should tick, tick, tick properly, but instead has fallen apart, it's lost some cogs, it no longer ticks properly. So we can think about like economic systems that don't work, we can think about governmental systems that don't work, we can think about social systems that don't work. We can talk about interpersonal systems that don't work. Anything that flies in the face of God's plan for his people and their outreach to other people, then that would be what we don't want to conform to or to support or be a part of. Romans 12 says, "Do not conform to the ways of the world. Instead, be committed to the renewal of your mind." Okay? So it's this idea of don't give in to broken systems, constantly keep edifying, constantly keep renewing, constantly keep feeding the brain juices, because when you feed the brain juices, that feeds the spirit. Okay. Now, Second Corinthians says, "Come out and be separate." Now, this is talking to um, the early church, and basically the writer was looking at the broken systems of that age, of that time, and saying, "Nope, come out, be separate, don't be a part of that," because what was there was corrupt, what was there was broken, what was there was influenced by greed and corruption. So he's saying, come out, come out. Again, this is flying in the face of all the good things that we just talked about. Now, James 4 actually calls you to be to basically unplug from the world, to be disconnected from the world. And this is something that, of course, mythologies like the Matrix get at. Neo, Trinity, Morpheus, they're all plugged into this false matrix of lies and slavery, basically. And people are trying to free people from the Matrix. And that's, of course, what the scriptures are trying to do. They're basically saying, hey, unplug from anything that's draining you, unplug from anything that's corrupt, unplug from anything that's using you, unplug from anger and dissonance, unplug from corruption, unplug from broken and evil world systems. Okay. So basically, if we turn the coin back over and we say, okay, so if it's broken world systems that we don't want to be woke to, what do we want to be woke to? And basically, it's a call to empathy. It's a call to look at other people groups, other nationalities, people from other nations, and look at them and go, I have empathy for you. I have care for you. I have concern for you. I want to see you have the best possible outcomes in your endeavors. Now, if that's the call to wokeness that many in like evangelical and right wing movements are fleeing away from, then that would actually be incorrect, because Jesus calls us to love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness for all people. So, but if the wokeness is being wary of and fleeing from the brokenness in the world, then yes. But basically, what we're calling for in any version of wokeness is discernment, and that's the wise deciding and the wise analysis of what is inherently good and what is inherently bad. And the only way we can use discernment is if we have the tools to do so, which of course come from the Bible, from the scriptures. So if we renounce broken systems and yet we retain empathy, we retain the love, the joy, the peace, the patience, the kindness, the goodness, if we can cling to what the scriptures call us to cling to, kindness and compassion to others, loving our enemies, doing good and lending to others, expecting nothing in return, teaching kindness, practicing kindness, being a beacon of kindness, while still rebelling against and fleeing from archaic, hate-filled, broken world systems, then yes, we can absolutely be woke with absolutely no problem. It does not fly in the face of biblical doctrine whatsoever. In fact, the Bible and scriptures and Jesus himself actually calls on a greater awakening or wokenness to the plights of others. Jesus ate and talked and met with people of I guess you say people groups or sects or factions of people that were looked down on in Jewish society. He went to those people. He talked to those people. He dined with those people. He prayed with those people. He cried with those people. He broke bread with those people. Jesus was not concerned about either looking or being woke. He looked at the downtrodden. He looked at the misplaced. He looked at the social outcast. He looked at the social pariahs and he said, I have come here for you. In fact, there's a bit of scripture that says, it's either Jesus saying it or one of the apostles saying it, that says, Jesus did not come for the healthy, but he came for the sick. Well, it's kind of like you don't step into a doctor's office because you're feeling A-okay. You step into a doctor's office because you're not feeling right. So Jesus came for those who weren't feeling right. Jesus came to heal and to love and to teach and to spread kindness and empathy and to be a beacon of joy and healing. So as long as we're doing that as Christians or simply as just moral people, you don't even have to be a Christian to follow the edicts of empathy, generosity, kindness, morality. As long as we're doing that, then we're okay. We can be as woke as we want to be. But if wokeness calls us to follow broken systems of control, hatred, disparity, racism, culturistic divides, national divides, any type of class system where some people are better than others, then that's the kind of woke we want to stay away from. But no, as long as it's all done and as long as it's love, as long as it's empathy, as long as it's generosity, as long as it's kindness, as long as it's empathetic, compassion, as long as it's teaching and wisdom, then no, there's nothing wrong. There's no fear. There should be no fear of the title woke or any of its connotations. So I hope that brings some light to you, dear questioner, he or she who asked that of me. I'll make sure that you have the link, or I'll send this directly to you so that you can see this. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be glad to hit you with the transcript of the scriptures that I used and some further reading that I have on this topic. So God bless you, God keep you, and if you have any questions, shoot them to me. I'd be happy to make another video, and I'll post this with the rest of my Ask and Seek videos. This one's shorter. I tried specifically to make it shorter. Most of them run about 20-25 minutes. This one's clocking in right at about 15. So God bless you. Thank you for your time, and be compassionate. Love one another as Jesus did.